All right. Well, welcome everybody. Great to see you. And for those of you that I've met, great to see you again. Belinda, I think we met as part of the E3 conference, which was awesome. Really pleased to see you all and, stoked to work with you on the launch of $20 Boss for this term. I just wanted to firstly take the opportunity to introduce myself. My name's Aruna and I'm the General Manager of Partnerships and International at Young Change Agents. And I've been with Young Change Agents for about 4.5 years now. So run a whole range of programs and done a lot of co-design with YCA across the country. And very excited to sort of work with you on $20 Boss, which I think is one of our really fantastic programs to kick off social entrepreneurship education with. So yeah, really looking forward to working with you today. And we've also got Bella. So Bella, do you want to sort of have a quick introduction for yourself as well?
Hi everyone, I'm Bella. I'm the community coordinator here at YCA. So I'm a bit of a jack of all trades. I do a lot of the email marketing, the social media marketing, a lot of the partner outreach to our various partners that we work with in design challenges, etc. I do a lot of the $20 Boss leads at the moment. So when you submit an inquiry, I'm the one that converts that and gives you the access basically. And yeah, I sort of just help out wherever is needed, I suppose, but my role is community coordinator. So the events like these are what I plan and help facilitate. So yeah.
Wonderful. And just before we kick off, I just thought I would do an acknowledgement of country as well. So we acknowledge that we're on the lands of myself in Melbourne, in Boon Wurrung Woiwurrung country, and pay our respects to the traditional custodians, past, present, and emerging. We acknowledge that the land that we're on is unceded country, and it always was and always will be Aboriginal land. So feel free to pop the land that you're from into the chat if you would like, but just wanting to do that acknowledgement as well. So we have a fantastic sort of overview that we're going to go through right now on the $20 Boss program. And the first way we thought we would start off was just being able to show a quick case study video of a young person who's been through the $20 Boss program to give you a sense of who are the students that go through these programs and what are the ways that these programs can positively impact the students that are a part of them. So I'll just play this video for us and then we'll get started. That's pretty inspiring, isn't it? Just to see what young people are capable of as part of this program. And so for us, it's a great opportunity for us to discuss the $20 Boss program and to really sort of talk about how it's driven by teachers. And it's a program that really you get to make your own and you get to sort of build with your students. Okay, so can you see my screen? Can everyone see my screen okay? Yeah, thumbs up, beautiful. So this is kind of the big why as to why Young Change Agents actually exists. So the way that we're looking at education is being reshaped by the world that we're in. And innovation, entrepreneurial thinking are skills that are admired at the moment, but they're skills that are going to be very important to the way that people think, both young people and people who are currently, for example, of my age group, we're all going to be it's really important for all of us to actually develop these entrepreneurial and innovative skills. So young people will be expected to recognize that opportunity. They'll take initiative and innovate in the face of challenges. So we have that responsibility to help them prepare for that future. So there's a couple of really fantastic stats which really talk to this. So we know that an entrepreneurial mindset elevates student potential, but those kinds of skills don't get taught from a textbook. They're the sorts of skills that you have to apply to really understand how they work. And it's that process of application that is so important in young people's learning. We know that, for example, 63% of all jobs will be enterprise skill intensive by 2030. That's a stat that Deloitte Access Economics has shared. And young people with enterprise skills are 17 months ahead of their peers in gaining full-time work. That's a stat from the Foundation for Young Australians. So there's a really strong case for supporting young people to develop these mindsets, skill sets and tool sets. And that's something that all of us have a collective responsibility to do. This is a really interesting one too, as to why. So Australia scores just 3.7 out of 10 for entrepreneurial education at the school stage, where 0 is highly inadequate. So from the perspective of actually equipping young people with these skills, there's a real case for change for us to do that, and a real case for change to do that in schools, where we obviously have that opportunity to work with thousands of young people, and also that you have that opportunity to work with students that you have that strong relationship with as well. So entrepreneurship being that powerful mechanism to give young people agency to decide those problems in their lives that they really care about, and trying to come up with solutions in the form of a social enterprise that they can try and resolve through social entrepreneurship. And that's where, I guess, Young Change Agents comes into it. So this is the how. This is how we really work with young people. We take that focus on working with kindergarten through to year 12, specialising in pathways and programs with young people of that age group. We look at design thinking as a way to do that. So design thinking is a process that we help young people learn, but young people then have that opportunity to use those skills to be able to come up with solutions. It's lifelong in the sense that it's scaffolded across primary and high school. It's community-led, so we very much think about how does the community then support young people to keep going with their ideas and strengthening their learning. Lots of hands-on activities that are a part of our programs, which makes it very practical, and using technology as a way to be able to capture their learning. So Bella will talk a bit about that in a little bit, but it's really about how do we actually capture what they're learning, and how do teachers maybe support the capturing of that learning to be able to recognize that learning pathway, whether it's through aligning it with subjects or maybe through learner profiles that young people can then use to show their learning pathway as well. So I won't go into this into a lot of detail. This is certainly a bit of an overview of all of the programs that we run. And there are a few extra programs that we're also developing as well. But the one that we're focusing on today is the $20 Boss program. And that's one of our, I would call, introductory programs. That's a part of our learning pathway. So the whole point of this is to introduce young people to the concepts of social enterprise and starting their own businesses, and getting them to practice those skill sets, whilst also developing a lot of those mindsets around resilience and problem solving, and then giving them tool sets through the design thinking process to help them to come up with a social enterprise idea. So the $20 Boss program probably sits here in the beginning of that pathway, but then we have a bunch of other programs that also then support a deeper sort of learning around social enterprise. How can they put the seed of the idea that they come up with into practice by doing deeper programs like, for example, the Explorer or the YINC, which is called the Youth Incubator. And then how might they actually execute a social enterprise idea, which is then when they start talking about things like the Digital Boss program, where they come up with their own social enterprise idea in the form of a digital business, or a social enterprise in a box, which is about a retail social enterprise. So there's a range of different programs that kind of feed into that pathway. And then the final thing I'll just quickly talk about is about the 4 pillars that we kind of work through to be able to run our programs. This is the purpose of what we do. So building an ecosystem of support, very much seeing that young people are part of a community and they're getting supported by their community to be able to grow their ideas, which includes teachers. And then building the capacity of schools. So working with schools and educators to be able to support your learning of programs like the $20 Boss and running them with your students. Creating learning pathways, which is what I talked about before, and then shouting it from the rooftops, which is very much about giving educators and young people the opportunity to share their ideas and being able to celebrate the ideas that they've come up with and give them recognition and rewards for those ideas that include things like seed funding and mentoring, as well as connecting them with organisations that can help them to take that next step. So that's a little bit about Young Change Agents. And in terms of the $20 Boss program, this is the part I think that's really quite cool about the program, is that it's very tangible. So what happens is that as a process, a student is given $20. They then use that through a process of doing the program to be able to conceive of a social enterprise idea and create their first business. And then once they actually create that business, often schools do things like, for example, have a market day where they get to showcase that business and sell potentially products or services that they've come up with as a part of the program. They then return the $20 plus a $1 legacy fee. So at the moment, we have a 90% return rate, which is pretty good. And then the school can then use that to be able to run the program again with another cohort of students. So it's quite a cyclical and sort of tangible process for students to go through. So that's the $20 Boss program in a nutshell. Before I go into that, I might just stop there for a second just to see if anyone had anything to add, Bella, or a couple of our teachers who have done the program before. Is there anything else you would like to add around the program or around Young Change Agents specifically? I'm really keen to make sure that we try and hold space for our teachers as much as possible, because I know you've got so much knowledge to share, and I'm really keen to sort of give you the opportunity to do that. So yeah, Kim or Belinda and Katie, did you want to add anything? Or if you're good to go ahead, just give me a thumbs up and then we can keep going. Yeah.
We'll jump in. I guess we here in Whyalla, we debated about, do we give the kids the $20 or do we actually hold on to it, and how we make the whole entity work. So based on our cohort and our demographic of kids, we made sure that we kept a hold of the money, but we worked through some numeracy processes to get kids to look at the ordering process and looking at how much it actually costs for their product. So for new teachers out there, I think it's important to have a look at the demographic of their kids and what's happening with that money.
And I think as well, like the kids ultimately do their ordering with the $20, but they might need, I know, a cup of milk, but they have to order like they order a litre of milk, so the leftovers, so then you have to make sure you don't have like 20 litres of milk left over and everyone's used a cup or something like that. So I think, yeah, lots of thought needs to go into the funding part of it and where you're going to spend the money and stuff like that.
And I guess the kids to really think about the cost of that product. So we actually didn't make $20 or $21 for each group, but we as a school donated back the money that we got. We were funded, so crowdfunded for our experience, but we felt as a school that it was really important that money went back to Young Change Agents. And so the amount of learning and the great experience that our kids had, the money that we didn't quite make to break even, we thought as a school it was really big investment that we needed to make sure that we still allowed that program to have that historical factor for us to be able to keep reapplying, but we did fall short in terms of the kids didn't make as much money as what we were given. So that, I think this year we will be tracking that a lot more and looking at what their product designs are and how much they're thinking they're going to sell their products for.
Yeah, the way I approached it last year was before students went anywhere near any money, the whole business proposal, sort of cost of production and basic design features all had to be taken care of, and they had to submit a loan request. So they had to submit a loan application where they agree to pay it back and the terms of that loan stuff. So I tried to sort of make it as much a business process as much as possible, and be aiming for the same sort of thing this year.
I think that ties into what we were talking about before the meeting, Aruna, about how we really want to push that $20 Boss is a program that's completely malleable to your own context. You don't have to just take the resources and run with it and do exactly as they say. You can shape them to fit, your own students. You know them better than anyone. So yeah, I think it's really important hearing from the other teachers, which we'll go into a little bit later as well. But yeah, it's important to hear their stories because it sort of gives you a bit broader outlook on how you can, refine it in your own schools.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think it's really important as well to share those practical examples, what you're talking about in terms of how that money is managed and what it means for the students in terms of the learning outcomes and balancing the learning outcomes alongside the practicalities of the money, because they're obviously gaining so many skills as a result of it. And that's something that, for example, you pointed out as well, Belinda, around, the school being supportive of that and really, enabling that. And Kim, from what you've described too, just being able to kind of get them to apply for that, that's a learning process in of itself and a fantastic way to to get them to think carefully about how that money is being used. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's really great. So I have a video, as you've probably just seen a little micro preview of one of the students who did the $20 Boss program last year and came up with a fantastic idea called Seabird Jewels, and ended up winning an award at the $20 Boss Awards. And so we thought we would just show this video of our fantastic participant. I think her name is Ashley. And yeah, and so it's a couple of minutes, and then after that, we'll just jump straight into a few introductions of our lovely teachers who are on the call. I'll just jump into that video now.
Businesses that can change the world, become the next big thing, and really impact and make a difference to the people that their products or services have been created for.
Hello, my name is Ashley. I'm in Year 8 at Christmas Island District High School. The enterprise I started is called Seabird Jewels. I collect marine debris and sea glass from the beach to make jewellery and gifts. This business after visiting one of our local beaches and had to climb over all the rubbish just to get to the ocean. I came up with an idea to not only remove some of the rubbish from the beach, but to get rid of it off the island altogether. And so I made jewellery and gifts from marine debris to sell to tourists at the local market. I buy my products with gifts to take home, and they are helping to remove rubbish from Christmas Island as well. I started Seabird Jewels because respecting our oceans and protecting our marine life and their habitat matters. Thank you.
The judges said this is a great idea that has massive potential in the future. A great solution for an extremely important problem impacting the ecosystem and environment. I love how creative this business is, as not only are you cleaning up rubbish, but creating great art that you can sell. Ashley from Seabird Jewels, congratulations. You know, this is such a fantastic idea that we hope we can help support you in growing.
Lovely. Very inspiring, right? And a huge problem that she's trying to solve. So I'm going to jump straight into our teacher introductions now, and I might actually hand over to Bella to kick us off for this bit.
Yeah, of course. So unfortunately, Michelle is experiencing some technical difficulties, but we would love to get into Katie and Belinda at Whyalla. Might jump into Katie and Belinda first.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to sneeze. No.
Thanks. Thank you for having us on. As we mentioned in our comment, we're very new to this program. So we're actually a brand new school in South Australia. So historically in Whyalla, we had 2 middle schools, were year 8 to 10, and 1 high school, which was year 11 and 12. So last year was our very first year of opening the school, and we thought we really wanted to review what was happening in the HASS curriculum. So that's where we wanted to go deeper with our business entrepreneurial elements for those students. And we really saw our students engage. To begin with, I think they didn't quite see the vision of where we were heading, but by the end and seeing that real circle of improvement by them actually getting to market day and seeing that it was real and they actually had outcomes, the joy that we saw on the students' face and the learning that they could articulate to us at the end of the process was fantastic. So demographically, we've got a variety of students that we have here in Whyalla, and so engagement isn't always great here, but having something that was a practical type learning experience for our students, and even money is an issue for a lot of our students and families here as well. So just the thought of being able to be gifted something and an opportunity and having that capacity to possibly build it into a future business, students by the end were quite excited, and a few of the groups have continued on with their businesses, and I know there's a group in year 10 that did a similar program we were offering, where they were doing canvases and they were selling them to staff and made quite a good amount of money in terms of just being able to keep that entity going. So we have, I guess, developed a few resources along the way. So we thought the lights have gone out 4:30 here in Whyalla. So I guess we found we thought we'd just share a bit of our experience in terms of using the resources to begin with. So we found them extremely great for our staff, but Katie is, I guess, our leader in this space, and so she put together a term plan which allowed the staff to have guidance in what they were doing. So we think that's probably number one tip if you're doing it with a big group, making sure that you have guidance for your staff, not just saying here's a resource and running off with it. And we have faculty time which is dedicated to it, so there's that touch point for our teachers. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I think making sure the teachers are very invested in it. So obviously it was new to the school, and some of the teachers didn't know they were teaching the $20 boss, and we've had obviously, like everyone, staff shortages. So we had a vacancy for $20 boss, and then another teacher got pulled and put into it. So I think at the start, the first few weeks, it was very, we don't know what we're doing. And I think because I worked out the overview, so this is what you need to do, the resources really, really helped, especially the first PowerPoint that goes through the entrepreneurial, what are they called? The capabilities, and the kids learn about that. So, but yeah, having structure and making sure that it's engaging for the teachers, and they're involved more than just this is what you're teaching. Like, they need to be involved in what each of their groups are doing, because we had some groups doing the same thing, and then obviously lots of the groups didn't get to sell all their products because they were doing a similar product to someone else, and they may have a better spot at the market, or like, you know, they set up better and they had a big sign, whereas these other kids are on the side out of the way, and they so I think the teachers really need to be involved and talking to each other and communicating how they're going and where their kids are at, so that it just works on the day. So really the market day is the big thing, and the teachers need to be building that up prior. We did also make sure we had the PowerPoints and some assessments for the kids to kind of get to where they needed to be, because here, if the kids don't have an end goal, they kind of just go, well, why are we doing this? We're doing the same thing over and over. They don't have an end goal. So we created 3 assessment tasks that kind of had linked all the activities together, and then that was their end goal for part 1. Then part 2 was, you know, market day, and then part 3 was their reflection. So just creating those extra tools to help the kids keep engaged, as well as the teachers then know this is what we need to strive to achieve.
I think so. Our biggest learning was staff engagement. So I think if we can get them who are on the front line engaged, we've got a strategy here as a school that we're driving, and I think over the years we will build that interest. That being the very first year, that's something that we self-reflect and make sure that that's something that will improve for the following year. We had really good success with what's her name? She went on maternity leave. She came and did Seshna. Yeah, Seshna. Yeah, so we actually really enjoyed. We had a staff PD where she came up and delivered a session for our staff. So again, as new staff, it is a bit of money, but we actually found that of great benefit to be able to introduce the staff to the concepts and the little warm-ups that are happening within the program. So I would strongly encourage people to reach out for that. I think the other things we also had on here was around your business manager, really having a great connection and partnership with them, because the money obviously is an important side to it. And there needs to be some real clarity around how you're going to do your ordering process, your purchase orders, who are the companies that you might be working with. Other teachers on the call might be able to make comment, and they might not have the same barriers to us, but we do find that is something, if your business manager isn't on board and able to see also the vision and the value of this program, it could also become a barrier.
We had a barrier as well where the kids just went online to try and find the cheapest, so they might have got it from eBay, you know, it's $5 cheaper than Coles on eBay or something like that. So this year when we run it, we're going to give them, because we're in the country, we can't just order from anywhere, especially like our business manager doesn't like using the credit card, so we had to kind of like, I would go in there and be like, I have to order this for these kids. And would strongly suggesting looking at where you're going to get your products from and making maybe a list of these are where you can get them from, because we had issues where, you know, we had to use the credit card if it was from Spotlight because we don't have a Spotlight account, or we don't have a Spotlight in Willa, or Kmart. We've just got a Kmart. So, you know, if you can get it from Kmart, that would be easier because we can go pick it up, but make sure it's in stock in Willa because we have to order it. Like things like, so yeah, I think this year we said we'll have a list of 5 main places. And then if they can't get it from there, then we'd have to negotiate and they'd have to, you know, write a proposal to the business manager.
And it's probably about that backwards planning motion of when is your market day, when do you need your products made, to when do you need your stock, when do you need, you know, all of those pinnacle points that you're hitting. So that's probably something that we learned along the way. Katie and I are very organised teachers and leaders, but we weren't the ones actually delivering it. So we had to bring the team on a journey, and we would give suggestions of where those timeframes need to be. But it's not also common sense sometimes for all of our staff members to think like that. So that's also another thing. If you're leading big teams, it might be thinking about planning together collaboratively about what those milestones might be to make the market day happen.
We also did have a backup plan for kids that were like in a group and some of their group don't come to school, or we have like attendance issues here. So we had some money that we used from those kids, and we bought the beeswax wraps. So then on the day they could just make the wraps if they came to the market day and sell those. So they still had something to sell, but it was like, because lots of the staff bought them anyway and other kids bought them, something that we'd had a PD on anyway. So some of the kids had already learnt how to make the beeswax wraps. They're sustainable, so it was something that we just thought we'd buy. We had leftovers, we'll buy some of that, and then if they are here they can still be involved. But I think this year we'd probably identify those students earlier and maybe split them into groups that are constant attenders.
I also think lastly probably the market day was a real success, and the skills that our students were able to build. So I think that was fantastic. It created a great vibe within the school, and we had, you know, all from year 7 to 12 kids access the market day at recess time, and so the kids were talking about it for days, weeks after, and so we've now built that interest. So we're really excited to see where it takes us this year, and having that next generation of those kids coming through. We're working through an entrepreneurial strategy of the school, so there are, you know, the kids in year 7 and 8 are already trying to build those skills through some challenges. But we probably didn't mention we do it through year 9, and it's the house. I think we mentioned that, and just I guess it was just a way to engage our students.
I think the market day we're going to keep getting bigger. So this year we're trying to do it. We finish at 2:40 on a Tuesday. So we're giving the kids the time on the Tuesday afternoon to set up the market day, and then the kids that want to go there after school can go through, do the market day, and we can also then invite the parents to come along. So we're hoping that might provide the extra income for the kids, that like lots of the kids ran out, and then the other kids are like, no, I've already bought one from over there. So the strategy, the kids will be able to sell not just to their peers or their teachers, it'll be parents coming in as well, and then hopefully the year after we can build it to the community can come in, and and
I think here in South Australia we're building towards the learner profile that the Safe Board has put out. So you mentioned before about learner profiles and where it's heading and supporting our students post school, so that is something that as a school we're already looking at the mapping and the collection of evidence that then can be used in that senior world, and they're already hitting that entrepreneurial capability really effectively in a real practical way, but taking that learning all the way through to year 12.
We do, like we said before, in year 9 they do $20 boss, and then in year 10 they do another entrepreneurial subject through their house as well, where they get a choice of, say, ASX share market or Etsypreneur or social change or Shark Tank. So they kind of continue it on, and then they have the skills from $20 boss that really improves their year 10, and that's a safe subject. So they get some credits for their SACE for that. But it's really, I think I'm excited for the year 9s that did it last year to do their year 10 subject this year, because I think they'll really make make it better.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring
Yeah.
on another case study video then.
Oh,
23.
Oh, and I probably should mention we also we're trying to connect in numeracy as well. So on the day we got the kids to have it run like a running tally. So we made sure the kids were taking their own floats. Well, that's another thing, floats. You've got to organise floats. So that is a big one for the kids, and just understanding money, like handling skills. And so yeah, we got the kids to write down, you know, what they were selling and keeping a running tally of that float, and then at the end having to submit it.
So they wrote down what their product was, how much it cost to make all those products, what their selling price was, and then maximum like how much they would maximum sell them for, and then their profit they should get if they sold everything. And then on the second sheet there was the stuff that they had, and then if they sold it, and then they could come and say, yep, I made this much profit, or I didn't sell as much as I thought I would, and then that would come with a reflection. So we've got a folder full of our resources that we're happy to share with everyone as well.
Awesome. Yeah, after this kickoff, I do send a follow-up email with all of the links. So if you've missed anything or you want to get in contact maybe with the teacher champions, we can forward you their emails if you guys are happy for me to do that. But yeah, so bye Kim. Thanks for popping on. Yeah, so I've put the link to the Whyalla $20 Boss case study in the chat. So yeah, if you wanted to watch that one, feel free. It's on our YouTube channel. But yeah, because we've heard from Katie and Belinda, I think we might jump into just a general Q&A and see if anyone who is new to running $20 Boss has any questions for Katie and Belinda, or us. Really? Anyone?
Do many people do other options other than a market day?
Yeah, we had a school in Darwin actually do a showcase. So rather than a market day, a lot of the students that came up with ideas from that school were actually more digital products. And so they ended up putting some time aside in the assembly and then having the students actually showcase the ideas that they came up with. So it was almost like doing a mini pitch. They were sort of talking a bit about, you know, the problem or the challenge they'd identified in the community, the solution that they'd come up with, and then just did a quick description of the prototype and how it would try and solve the problem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that was another way of looking at it. So it doesn't always necessarily have to be like a tangible product that they come up with. There could be different ways to try and showcase that.
And were they looking at selling those digital products?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So just really because it was that point of the program where they were coming up with some sort of first stage prototypes, they were still needing a little bit more support to continue to work on those prototypes, but very much kind of showcasing where they were at that point. Gotcha. And then the kinds of extra support that they would need to take that next step, which was helpful for the school as well.
Yeah.
I'm very early in the process, so I was just wondering, like, do you register as a school? Do you, like, I'm way back at still working out how we access the resources, and yeah,
no worries. I'm just going to get up the link for you. Essentially, you run onto our $20 Boss website, which I'm just trying to find at the moment, but I'm having a bit of trouble. And then from there, you submit, you know, your school, if you would require funding, which we provide for low ICSIA schools, I think under 1,100 ICSIA score, is that right, Aruna? Yeah. So we do that funding, and then how many students you have, etc. And then basically from that, we give you access to our Entrepreneurial Learning Hub. That is where you'll find all of our resources, which I'll definitely go into a little bit later, go into a little bit more depth. But essentially, yeah, that first sign up is the most important thing, because then you get your password, your access, all of that jazz. And then from there, it's just support, really. So if you have any, thanks, Aruna, for the link. If you have any questions or you need support or you're not sure about something, you can book in with any of us to chat. And yeah, but props to you for jumping on this $20 Boss call now and getting a little bit of an overview of it now before you actually access the resources, because I feel like that's like super valuable to hear from other teachers. and give a bit more of an insight.
I just had a question in terms of, I'm assuming that we don't need any ABN or anything for students, or like does like any other schools have that set up already? Or because like I'm thinking like if they want to continue doing it even after, like if they want to build businesses afterwards, after this program, I'm thinking about Market Day as well. But like after that, then like is there any support that we can give them? Or I don't know, like has anybody had that issue before? Or...
I think that ties really well. Aruna, you might be able to speak to this a little bit more, but when we go through the program, our programs in the different years and how they lead on to other things, the next step from $20 Boss is Digital Boss. It's one of our newest programs that we've partnered with other schools to create, like co-create. And it's a great way to introduce those students into, you know, ABNs and digital marketing, because we kept hearing from teachers that they wanted the next step for their students. You know, they've done $20 Boss, and now these kids want to take it the next step and, you know, learn a little bit more maybe about the digital space, which is, you know, growing immensely, that sort of thing. So yeah, how could we sort of integrate $20 Boss with a new program that teaches them along the same lines essentially, but a little bit more in depth about ABNs and, you know, the legal side behind things. So yeah, we're more than happy to share a little bit more information on Digital Boss with you, Jay, if that's of interest to you. But Belinda and Katie, do you have anything to add about, you know, ABNs or how you navigated that?
Debriefing what we're doing here in Whyalla, and I think everyone's bringing up some really good points. So we're just talking ABN in terms of what our kids are doing post school and where that connects, and looking at, I guess, on Market Day, our kids are working towards, we like to promote it as we'll do a donation. So the profits that are made on the day, each stall's not getting back, you know, if they made $21 and they've made 23, they're not getting back their $2. We will then select a charity that will donate the rest of the money to locally. So that kind of prevents that. But yes, it's something that is key, I guess, if they are doing it post school or, you know, after hours. We definitely want them to be knowledgeable of that area. And then we're just talking about your Digital Boss and where that might fit in our program. Sorry.
Well, you know where we are, guys, if you want
just on top of that, with the kids, we had a group of boys make like fishing jigs and stuff, which is I don't know how that came about, but they thought if they didn't sell them, they got to keep them. So it was like promoting that, you know, we actually, if we had any leftover stuff, we also took that to charity as well. And they need to know that they don't just get to make it and then keep it. It's not their $20. So whatever they make either comes back to school, goes to charity, or goes back to the $20 Boss.
Yeah, and there was the other question before around the different ways of promoting and not just having a Market Day. So I think when I went to the e-conference, some schools are talking about almost like the Digital Boss, where they'd set up websites and kids basically had put up their products and people could buy it virtually rather than having to actually hold a Market Day.
Really good insights. And it's really interesting as well how you might also be able to make, this is something that we found with some other schools that we work with as well, to try and kind of connect in with local business people as well as potential mentors or supporters. I can see you nodding, Belinda. That's good.
That was something we did definitely here.
Yeah. And do you want to share a bit more about how you did that as well? Because that's really useful.
We did reach out and we worked with Young Change Engines as well. So there's mentors you can get through them. But again, it's all about building our own pipeline of workers and hearing from our local people about the journey that they've been on. So as a school, we've got a real career development focus, and we have a register of about 150 employers we work with already for work placement. But we have stretched that now in terms of having a register for businesses that want to connect with our students on an entrepreneurial level. So being a community, somewhat small community, you know, other people know other people. So it was quite easy to build that register, and people are quite willing to share their journey where they possibly were out at the mines and now they're running different companies, or there's a group of people that might have been trades and they're now running a dolphin watching place, or a lady, most of them leave the mines, they have maternity leave, and so they've developed scrunchie businesses, or
Cake decorating,
decorating,
photography.
Yeah, and they've made a real good income from it, I guess. So for them, we got quite a few of them in to talk to our students about different topics. Like when I would reach out to them, I'd say, what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about like profit and loss, or your marketing that you do, or your journey from where you were at your normal 9-to-5 job to what you're doing now? So a lot of them were able to pre-select what they wanted, and then we would ask the kids about what they wanted to learn, or thinking about where they were in their term plan as to what content would connect well with a particular mentor. And then we invited them to market day as well.
I think that as well moves on, like after $20 Boss, once the kids do it the next year, you can get them kind of back in again, or reconnecting with them, the same people they spoke to, and like they kind of engage a bit more, because it's not like they've already done it and now they're doing something else, or they're continuing on. So it's like, now once you've got your idea, what next? So how did you then build it up, and once you'd started, how did you get that profit happening and stuff like that?
And connecting with those employers, it didn't happen this year, but I pictured some of our students going out and doing some learning with them around a product that they might have wanted to do. So for example, if they wanted to do resin, we had people in that industry that were more than happy for the kids to come and build their products with them and almost provide that wraparound support and mentoring. But we just didn't have a group that selected that as an option. But our employers are very open to keep it going and build those skills of the young people.
Just on that as well, we had a lot of other teachers involved. So if kids wanted, we had one group build a toilet for camping, that like a camping toilet seat. So they had to actually build it. So we had our tech teachers involved. So it's a lot of communicating around, when are they free? Can they go into your year 8 class while you're doing it and make it? And so yeah, again, having your teachers involved, art teachers, if they need to do their canvassing at school. But we did have lots of students just do it at home as well, if they're really interested in it, like their scrunchies
and you'll find a lot of your staff in your site have hidden talents that you're not aware of. So already this year, I've already emailed or surveyed our staff around those things that they might have done prior to moving into a school for an employment, and that was a really good exercise to get that information. So not only in this program, but a variety of our subjects, we can now direct people to the experts that are within our staff team.
Yeah, I love the coordination with community as well. I think that's really important, and there's a few resources on the Entrepreneurial Learning Hub about that for our new teachers.
So we're going to jump ahead a little bit, because the discussions have been so great that we were really keen to sort of hold space for that, for everyone to be able to ask and chat through questions. I did want to spend a bit of time very briefly talking about the process of $20 Boss and how it kind of ties into design thinking as a process. So this is really the learning process that young people go through when they do this program. And what we call it is, at the top here, the different phases of the program itself. So there are 6 sort of key phases here around immersion, through to students immersing themselves into the problem space, understanding the root of the problem, then using team skills to be able to brainstorm and decide who their customers are going to be before coming up with a solution, and then deciding how they're going to take the steps to be able to trade as a business. So this talks about, in thinking about your solution, what's the first product you could come up with? You might have loads of great ideas, but what's the first product that could be a feasible product that you could take potentially to your market day, or to be able to showcase in a different way? And then being able to evaluate their learning and celebrate that as well. So what the $20 Boss program does in going through those different phases is it takes young people through what we would call divergent thinking, and then takes them back together on convergent thinking. So divergent thinking is very much around the creative problem, the creative understanding of what the problem is, and being able to think broadly about how does society see that problem? What's my local community saying about that problem? What are some different ways that other people might be talking about the problem? So those are the kinds of ways that people might be thinking more broadly. And then when we talk about convergent thinking, it's then saying, out of all of the different problems that we've identified, what's the one that we really want to focus on? And how do we drill down further to really understand the root of that problem that we're trying to solve? And that's where the convergent thinking comes into it, where students are using critical thinking skills to really get clear about the problem that they're trying to solve. So once they get to that point and they come together in teams, divergent thinking kicks in again to start brainstorming solutions. And they can think as broadly as they like around what those solutions could look like. And then once they hit that space of having a number of solutions in mind, that's when they get convergent again to really get clear about which solution would be the most feasible. So that critical thinking kicks in again, and it helps them to think about, I have $20 or in certain scenarios, it might be less than that. How would I make this work with that amount of money? What could I build or create to be able to make this feasible? And then that's when it kicks into the business trading as well as the evaluation and the celebration. So that's the crux of the $20 Boss program. And then to help you to deliver the program, which is something that Bella's going to talk about in a minute when we talk about the Entrepreneurial Learning Hub, there are different toolkits that you can use. And there is the full toolkit, which has 25 different lessons over those 6 phases that I just talked about. And that's been designed for you to be able to deliver that in class or in a particular subject or a program. And so we know that there's a few different ways that teachers might like to deliver the program. So there's also a light toolkit. And we tend to find that teachers quite like the light toolkit because it's quite adaptable to different scenarios and classroom plans as well. And that's created with remote learning or limited time in mind. And that's consisting of 13 lessons, so about half of those lessons over the 5 phases. And then there's a five-step toolkit that's been developed to be suitable for a variety of different learning styles and learners. So we found, for example, that the 5-step toolkit might work well with First Nations young people that might struggle with literacy and numeracy, who might come from a variety of different backgrounds, might identify as neurodivergent, for example. And then it gives you some options as to how you might like to run the content in those contexts. So I suppose there's a couple of different options that I've talked about here, but the one thing I would really like to emphasize is it's very much up to you as to what you think will work in your classroom. So we've found, for example, that teachers might like to download the Light toolkit and use parts of that, but then if students are really resonating with particular parts of the program, like prototyping or testing their idea with community and trying to understand who their customer is, they might then jump into the full toolkit and download some extra activities that would help their students to do those different parts. And so it's very much up to you as to how you think your students are going and how you'd like to adapt it based on your context. So I might stop there. Are there any questions at the moment based on what I've just chatted about? And I'll just note as well that Bella's actually going to jump into a bit of an overview of the Entrepreneurial Learning Hub where you can access these toolkits as well. So once we jump off this call, like Bella had mentioned, she'll send you those links so that you can then go in and explore and have a look at what these toolkits look like. But for now, very happy to take any questions if you've got any questions or comments.
So I actually have a question again. So I've got, I think, just 13 lessons, and I'm thinking some students might take a little bit longer in certain steps, and we've got 75-minute period, which we always start 5 minutes late, and it's like students settle down and everything. And also, like, if I want to have a market day during the last week of the term, I'm thinking. So I'm actually thinking about starting in about a week and a half. We've got a half week now, and then next week we're actually doing design challenge. So like we're trying to wrap that up first, and then like we're actually trying to move on for the rest of 7 weeks of the term. But then if I was trying to use the Light toolkit, but thinking that one or two things might have to be just shortened. Which was it stage or which lesson would you actually recommend taking it like out or shortening it or combining it? Sorry, I know it's a really difficult question, but yeah.
No, that's okay. It's actually it's a really good question because it's very reflective of the fact that you've got limited time to work with this program, but you really want the students to get the most out of it. So I wonder if I could go back. I would suggest if you had, for example, based on what you're saying, it sounds like roughly 10 weeks of time. Would that be right? Roughly around 9-10 weeks.
So we actually have 2 lessons per week, and hopefully the events won't, like special events during the term, won't interrupt us too much. They pop here and there. So I've got about 6 to 7 weeks. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So if that's the case, I would actually focus based on the experience that teachers have shared with us, and very happy if anyone else on the call wants to jump in with thoughts as well, is to probably spend a little bit of time on the immersion side of it, which is very much about empathy and understanding community, and then spend a little bit more time really understanding the problem and then delving into the solution. So this is the real core of the program in the way that we've tended to run it in the past. And we found that students also tend to need a bit more time to prepare themselves for the market day or the showcase if you decide to do that a bit differently. So to allow a week or two for that preparation before they actually then showcase their ideas or you run the market day is a good idea. So I would suggest that'd be my take on that one. Bella or Belinda, did you want to share anything else?
Yeah, I think it's a really hard question to answer, especially not coming from a teacher myself. I would just kind of get a feeling from your students about it, see where they are struggling the most and where they need more help, and maybe just play it by ear. I feel like this program is really easy to pick and choose some things from different toolkits, and the Entrepreneurial Learning Hub resources make that really easy. So yeah, I don't know if I can give you a black and white answer, but I definitely think just play it by ear and see based on your students and how well you know them and what experience they have in the classes, as to what you might shorten a little bit more.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jay. Does anyone else have any questions? Any thoughts? No worries. And if questions do pop up just as we're talking, feel free to pop them into the chat, and then we can always come back to them later as well. So I might then hand over to Bella now, just to talk about the Entrepreneurial Learning Hub and your access to that, and also just all of the different amazing resources that you've got access to as a part of that. So over to you, Bella.
All right, so resource updates. This is a very high level kind of view of what we've been working on behind the scenes to update our original resources on the Entrepreneurial Learning Hub. So as I know that you guys are all new to $20 Boss, I might just, go over them at a really, really high level, and then I can show you a little bit more in depth the Entrepreneurial Learning Hub and what it looks like when you log in. But yeah, so first of all, on the right-hand side, that is what our Entrepreneurial Learning Hub looks like. You've got your Learning Hub, your Buddy app, your projects, and then your icon, who you are. Within the Learning Hub, you have your resources, and our resources are where you'll find resources for all of our programs, including $20 Boss. We've made it really simple by having a recommended resources, that big yellow button there, because we did know that, when you click filter $20 Boss resources, it can be really overwhelming seeing all of the different worksheets and just pages and pages of it. So we've compiled them into how many documents? 9 documents for the light toolkit, full toolkit, student workbook, etc. So it's really easy to print and look through. Another thing we've added is digital presentations in Canva. I'm not too sure the experience level with Canva, but we love Canva at Young Change Agents. Let me just preface that. We love it. we have added template links. So basically when you log on to the Entrepreneur Learning Hub and you might see that you want to do lesson 1 of the Light Toolkit, you might click on that, but you might find some things in there that you might not think are relevant, or Jay, for example, you might want to shorten it a little bit more. So basically this link allows you to add it to your own Canva, and you can pick and choose what you want to present. I mean, you can add things. So it just makes it, again, really fit into your own context, essentially. Yeah, and then videos on YouTube. We've got heaps of $20 Boss case studies and things coming. The Wayella video is a great one to start if you have the spare time to look at that one. Buddy app is also one of our features in the Entrepreneurial Learning Hub. This allows students to basically have their own profile, and you as a teacher to view it, and you can track how they're going, and add comments and etc. So it kind of makes them a little bit more responsible for their own learning, which is a really cool feature that we're pretty proud of. So if you want more information on Buddy app, we'll go into that a little bit further later, but also happy to chat if you wanted to book in a time. Budgeting tool, we also have the budgeting tool as one of our resources, and that's available for the first 100 people to sign up. So you can sign up. I'll share the link in a second for you, and you can sign up. And again, that's a high level tool for you as a teacher to see your students, how they're going with their money. And finally, our Entrepreneurial Learning Hub, library, which is really exciting. Working behind the scenes on this one. So the library is essentially, it's got 400 resources and counting. And these are all filtered to what resource type you may need, what program you're running. So if you're running $20 Boss and, you might have a bit of extra time and you want your kids to learn a little bit more about profit and loss, you can instead of searching the internet and finding, so many resources that you might not know are correct or trusted by other educators, etc. You can actually go straight to our library and view them there. And they have all been either recommended by YCA staff or they've been recommended by other teachers. So it again just saves you time in searching for extra things if you've got a few teams that might need a little bit of extra help in certain areas. That comes in really handy. So I might just delve a little bit further into the Entrepreneurial Learning Hub and what it looks like. This is what happens when you've signed up for $20 Boss, and then behind the scenes, we've said, yep, awesome, we're giving you access. This is what happens when you log in, essentially. And under the Learning Hub tab, there is where the $20 Boss resources are. So if you just want to go to the next, perfect. Awesome. So then you can see them all there, and you can filter by any course and straight to download, which is really handy. Again,
Bella, so if you register for $20 Boss, can you actually also access those other programs?
No. So once you get access in the Entrepreneurial Learning Hub, only give you access to $20 Boss. Unless, you message us and say, we'd love to run, a design challenge, then I'd give you access to those resources as well. But Buddy app, this, again, I've talked about a little bit before, but a platform for students to complete activities and add evidence of learning during the $20 Boss. Buddy app also has the ability for you as a teacher to give them badges. So it's a little bit of reinforcement and, we're actually getting somewhere before the market day. Which we find that students really like that. And it also adds in a section for them to have a bit of reflection, which obviously is really critical to learning. They need to be reflecting on what they're learning, or sometimes it just goes in one ear and out the other. So the Buddy app also helps really well with that. So this is like what the Buddy app kind of looks like. Our team members, you got Bruce Wayne there. So this is at the top of it. They'll have their team, so Team Alpha. And then it'll kind of have, an overview of what the activity will be that they'll be doing that week, and the learning bites, which will have, extra worksheets or that sort of thing.
Can I ask a question? So do we actually make teams for buddies for the Buddy app, or do they come and make it?
Pretty sure we make the teams. Is that right, Aruna? From what I understand, we make the teams, like you send us a list.
Yeah.
And we put them in.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
right. So we would receive that information from you, and then we would then be able to create the teams on our end.
Thank you.
All right. So yeah, these are the badges. The social impact module. This is what I was talking about with, their introduction, their learning bites, their upload prompt, and then their reflection. Buddy Up is really helpful for you to be tracking their learning, especially if, you might have high levels of, kids not coming into school or etc. You can sort of see where they're at without having to have a million documents on your desk. Like, you can see exactly where they're at, which is really helpful. And this is the online budgeting tool. So this is, again, what I was talking about a little bit before. 100 funded licenses are available. So if you want to sign up to use the budgeting tool, I can give you the link in the chat a little bit later or in the follow-up email tomorrow. But yes, it just allows you to manage student budgets, receipts and summaries all in one place. So again, if money is a bit of an issue or a worry, if you've got younger kids, or as Katie and Belinda were saying before, they do a lot of purchase orders and the business manager overlooks that. But if you're giving your kids $20 and you're trusting them with that, this is a great tool, again, to sort of see where they're headed and what they're spending it on and holding them accountable. This is kind of a little GIF of what it looks like. So they put in the product name, the item, cost, and then they identify what category it is. And it sums it all up for them. And then, yeah, you as a teacher can overlook that process. Perfect. So yeah, there's a bit of, again, of an overview of what I've just talked about, but yeah, Teacher View, you can see what they're doing, their teams, really helpful. Okay, and then on to community updates. Being the community coordinator, I'm a bit more across this one. But we are having a $20 Boss Educator Bootcamp email series again. We did this last term, and we are doing it again with our teacher in residence, Renee. So yes, Renee will be sending you an email if you choose to sign up to help you navigate the different resources, delivery methods over a weekly email series. So she won't be spamming you. It'll just be one email a week. Yeah, anything you may have questions about. And then also it'd be great once you've got that email from her and you have any more questions, she's a great person to come to if you need to book in a time, or me as well. I'm more than happy to help. And then as for our teacher community outside of school, we have the $20 Boss Facebook community. So I'll share the link for that as well in a second. And this is a really cool community where people can put in ideas of what their kids are doing. They can ask questions. A lot of the members of the YCA team are in there, but it's mainly for teachers to interact and to share ideas as well.
Excuse me, Bella. So for one school, if you want several teachers to have access, each teacher has to register with you? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, making sure all teachers register, and then they'll get their own login and they can see the resources and everything. And yeah, just to reach out to our team for support anytime, we'll have an end slide that will have my email, Renee's email, the Hello Inbox email, which is monitored by all of the staff. So you can get in touch with anyone that you might need to talk to about, anything in regards to $20 Boss, or if you want any more information on any more of our programs. But yeah, I think I might hand back over to Aruna. Sorry, that was a lot of information.
No worries, that's great. And we are conscious that we've kind of shared a lot over the course of this call, which is why we've got a few next steps in mind as well, just to kind of help recap a lot of the information that we've shared as well. And as Bella mentioned, just sharing the links to important documents and parts of the access that you will need to be able to run the program. Like, for example, to be able to sign up for the resources on the Enterprise Learning Hub, be able to access things like the budgeting tool, and things like being able to actually have a buddy on the $20 Boss program who's a fellow teacher who can sort of help to bounce ideas around how to actually deliver the program as well. So I might just go back to the next steps here. So just, I've alluded to a couple of these things, but this is more just to talk about what's coming following this, our chat today. So the first one is, as I'd said, we will share a link with you to be able to be matched up with a teacher buddy to check in throughout the term and to be able to book in your meetings with us as YCA staff to be able to support you to run the program. We're very keen to support you to be able to, I guess, adapt the program to your own context. And some of the questions, for example, like you had, Jay, around how might you run this if you've got, say, 6 weeks? Those are really good questions to maybe bring up with a member of staff, and we can really sort of work with you and work out a bit of a flow that might work for you in terms of the way you run the program. The other Young Change Agents events and workshops. So we regularly run teacher PD events, and we also run, I think as you'd also mentioned, Jay, the design challenges as well, which do help young people kind of get that experience of design thinking in a slightly different way. So these are the kinds of programs that you could be looking at to be able to support your running of $20 Boss. So we'll continue to put those up on our Facebook page, and we'll also then be able to share links to things like Humanitix and Eventbrite to be able to have you sign up to events as well. As Bella mentioned, we've got the Facebook group for the $20 Boss program. There is that next stage program that Bella also mentioned around Digital Boss, and very much happy to leave that up to you as to when you think your students would be ready for that next step. But we're also happy to kind of have a chat about where your students have landed and then talk about whether there might be other programs that could kind of sit well with where they are. And then this is something that often gets young people quite excited, is that we run a $20 Boss Awards night for young people who've done the program and across a range of different categories. And so they are able to then enter their ideas into the $20 Boss Awards for 2024. And then if they then get shortlisted and become finalists and then win awards, those awards can include things like prize money and mentoring to take their ideas further, as well as being showcased on our website as winners. And so there's incredible ideas. The one that you heard about from Ashley was one example of that. But there are some really great opportunities for your students to get involved with that as well. So maybe just something to mention to them. And we're here. We're very happy to help. So if you've got any questions that pop up after the call, please do reach out to Bella or Renee. We're very happy to help as a team, and we're always just really keen to see young people thrive as a part of this program. And it's brilliant. We often find that we're completely blown away by the ideas they come up with in such a short period of time. So very happy to help you and support you to do that. So yeah, thanks so much for joining the call. And I think we have a couple of minutes left. We've got about 5 minutes before we're due to jump off. So very happy to open up to any questions or comments in case people have.
I have a couple of questions. When you showed right at the start the kind of flow chart of your programs, obviously $20 Boss is the kind of starting point. I'm looking at running it with my VM classes, which is the previous VCAL or QCAL or whatever state you're in. Given that they're older but they haven't done it before, would you recommend going straight to the design challenge, or do you still think it's worth doing $20 Boss?
Definitely. I'm based in Melbourne, so I know what you mean when you're talking about the VCAL program.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I think the $20 Boss program is actually a really great one for them to do, because it takes them through the design thinking process step by step.
Mm-hmm.
And it also gives them a little bit of room to be able to identify those challenges that they want to solve in their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of ties it back to that and gives them a little bit of space, particularly if you're tying it to VCAL. There's an opportunity to then be able to do parts of $20 Boss, and then throughout the week actually go away and do some homework that's going to support them to come and do the next part, next week. So I think $20 Boss is a really good option for that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And then we've got a program called the Explorer program, which is actually mapped to VCAL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so very happy to share those resources if that's helpful.
That would be great. Yeah,
Yeah, happy
I'll have
to.
another look. Now, I've filled in previously that link to all the info stuff. What's my next step to then be to have access? Sorry, I'm not quite sure, like to the actual resources.
Yeah.
Bella, do you want to jump in?
Yeah. So when did you request access on those ones?
Last term when I started thinking about all of this stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So there should be an email in your inbox just saying like, welcome to the $20 Boss community.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, and that will have, you know, how you log in and a password, and then you can change your password, etc. And then that will take you into the Entrepreneurial Learning Hub.
Fabulous. Thank you. I'll look for that.
Anyone else? Any questions?
Good to see you on the call, Sarah. Feel free to jump in with any questions.
Yes, hi. I'm sorry I missed the beginning bit, but I'll just sign up and get all that info. So
No worries.
We will, after this, send a follow-up email tomorrow, and it will have a link to the recording, hopefully, if I get it up in time. If not, a follow-up one for that. And then all of the links to the resources. So how to sign up, the Facebook group, the buddy matching, the boot camp, like anything that we've talked about, that will be in a follow-up email. But if you have any like information that you want me to send you personally, like for example, Kim, you might want more information on our discovery program or etc. Please feel free to let me know now so I can follow that up tomorrow. Yeah, as we said earlier, if you need to reach out to any of us, I might just put my email in here so you can follow me up if need be. But yeah, thanks for coming along
Thank
to
you.
our kickoff call, and I hope it's been valuable.
Very valuable. Thank you both. It was excellent.
Thanks,
Thank you
Joanne.
so much. Really great to have all of your insights and questions as well. And keep in touch. We just want to hear about how you're going, and also just want to hear about all the great ideas that your students come up with as well. And hopefully we can get some of them to sign up for the awards next year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.